I was born in a refugee camp. I grew up in what I would consider the ghetto. I was the only Asian kid in elementary school. I rolled with a lot of gangbangers. This is like the age of 10, 11 committing crime. It's kind of ridiculous. Becoming American, they have depression. I don't understand what that is. And it's on head because everyone else in the world, they're so busy dealing with war and famine and like where to eat. Like you don't have time. We have the luxury of time to be depressed. I have my opinions on things. I'm willing to change my mind and be okay with it and update, but I believe what I believe. We live what's in a post-truth world, no such thing as truth anymore. Just admit that you know that I know that you know that, we're selfish people, right? We'll be okay. But if you pretend that that's not the way it is, Reddit is the best place of like deep OCD information. I don't have OCD. And then I was telling a bunch of investors today, like, how do you invest in this culture? Our brands, it's actually not that hard. A brand is if you jumped on their social on TikTok or Instagram and you read the comment section. Does the people treat them like customer service or their friend?
Who is the crazy genius behind iconic companies like Dollar Shave Club and Liquid Death? In today's episode of Tiger Sisters, we talk to Peter Pham, who's the co-founder and partner of Science Venture Studios. I'm Cherie.
And I'm Jean.
And we're the Tiger Sisters.
Welcome to yet another episode of Season 3 of Tiger Sisters, where we've been interviewing founders, CEOs, and other business leaders, and just sharing and basking in all of their amazing learnings.
Coming up, we have our interview with Peter Pham, and right after that, Jean and I go through our takeaways, basically the learnings, and we discuss them in a business school case study method. All right, we'll head to the interview right after this break.
Hey guys, quick break to let you know that we now have merch on sistersmatcha.com. We have sweatshirts and t-shirts that we designed ourselves. Go check it out. And please rate us 5 stars on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. These ratings are so important for the distribution and survival of Tiger Sisters podcast. Thank you for your support.
Peter, let's start with some ASMR.
Okay.
So we're just going to open it.
Oh, this sounds so good. I'm Peter Pham. I'm the co-founder and managing director of Science Venture Studios. We're a venture firm out of LA and incubator of sorts. We helped create companies like Liquid Death, which we just opened a fresh can of, Dollar Shave Club, Dog Vacay, which became Rover. I like to say I deal in culture and invest in things that I think people will use.
Oh, that's so good. What podcast are you listening to right now?
So there's 2 I subscribe to or try to listen to is All In Pod, because I think most people in tech do on Fridays, and also there some of my friends on there. Matt Wolf is an AI podcast. He does a really good kind of once or twice a week in his weekly summary of like everything going on in AI.
How long is that one?
24 minutes on average, sometimes 15. It's really, really, really doable. I listen to things at 1.5x. So
yeah, so 24 minutes. So like, 0.7 mile drive.
20-minute VC is the other one. It's always nice to learn what my peers are doing, what LPs are thinking. Harry Stebbings is a friend and also just like good human, but I think it's a fascinating insight of like what we do is for a living.
Good recommendations. Okay. As a kid, were you a rule follower or a rule breaker?
No, I was, I was born in a refugee camp. I grew up in what I would consider the ghetto, a city called Santa Fe Springs in Norwalk in California. 7 of us in a 1-bedroom apartment. My report cards were like default Spanish. So that's like, I was the only Asian kid in elementary school. I rolled with a lot of gangbangers. So I did a lot of things that I shouldn't have been doing.
So rule follower.
Yeah, a lot of bad things. I was young, very young. But this is like the age of 10, 11 committing crimes. It's kind of ridiculous.
Pre-juvie.
Yes, way before juvie.
Okay, well, what about now? Do you consider yourself rule follower or rule breaker?
Rule breaker. I think rules are a construct, like this, right? And
like that.
I think media and pop culture is kind of defined by what everyone else tells you it's supposed to be. And so I find myself just first principles, more of like why, and always asking the why, and does it make sense?
Yeah.
So whatever the rules are, it's just like, well, if it makes sense, sure. But if it doesn't make sense, I don't mind challenging it.
I like that. Okay. So let's get into how old are you?
Oh, I'm Asian. I don't raisin, as they say.
I know you're my, he's my boss's boss. Okay, well, suffice to say you're older than me, so I can ask this question of you.
It's a very good chance I'm older than you.
Okay, so
I may act a lot younger, though.
eternally youthful.
Yes, for sure. I'm a kid inside, for sure.
Yeah, I'm the same. Okay, so then I'm 35 now. So what advice would you give your 35-year-old self?
So it turns out I am Buddhist, but growing up twice a year, going to temple, and I was just at a retreat this last weekend, spent some time with some Mongolian Buddhist monks, which was amazing. And removing wanting in my life has been the biggest thing. So think about wanting. It means that you're probably not happy until you think you get this thing.
Yeah.
But like, be present. Like, be grateful for like everything that's happening in the now.
Yeah.
And good things happen to you. The other would be, my superpower is I have a terrible memory, right? Like just absolutely terrible memory, which means if something bad happens to me, I kind of know I'm going to forget it.
Wait, I'm the same way, but you know that people say that that's a reaction to, it's PTSD.
No,
people say it's like your way of like dealing with like childhood traumas.
Maybe it works for me. Meaning like if something bad, I think to myself, well, I'm not going to remember this, so why wallow in it?
Yeah.
Right. So know that your future self will always forget that thing that just happened. So why spend any time on it? Because the energy you put off, nobody wants to be around you when you're like sad, and depressed, and other things, right? And so that, and then the other thing is know your worth. Truly, I know it's always easy to say these things like, do what you truly love, but you got to pay rent. You know what? Give up a little for that. Maybe move in with your parents. But like, it turns out if you love what you do, no matter what it is, you will win because your competitor, so for this supposed job, 9 to 5, they're done at 5 o'clock. Fridays, they're done. They don't think about it 24/7. And when you show the love for that thing, people want to help you. So there's a human thing about human nature where when you see somebody maybe on the street and they're playing their heart out on piano, you just want to give them money. You meet somebody and they say they're an artist. It's like, you just want to help that person. Because if you think about it, most people don't follow their dreams. So they see a little bit of you in their dream and they say, oh, I want to help this person live vicariously. If I can help you achieve your dream, at least, my parents made me be a doctor. I really wanted to be a whatever. And if they see you, they just want to help. And so what I found is like, if you just love what you do, it doesn't feel like work anymore. And then you kind of walk life 24 hours, 7 days a week, thinking about that thing. So you don't necessarily need to be the smartest person in that subject or whatever it is that you do. But if you love it, it inherently shows that people want to help you out. And you have the advantage of basically thinking about it 24/7.
Yeah, and it makes you the expert.
And it doesn't feel like work. It's just like you love it genuinely, and you will be the best at it.
That is totally something that I've noticed. Cherie and I were just talking about this the other day, that like, I feel like now that I'm actually putting out there what I'm really passionate about, which is our startup sisters, like people are reaching out and like want to help. And I don't know.
Genuine.
Yeah. Because also like, inherently they're like, okay, I know you're like legit, but then you're not only legit, you're like really passionate about what you're working on, and they get like excitement from that. They want to be a part of that too.
Everybody wants to be, it's human nature to support sports teams. Think about why people sports teams, like you're rooting for them. Even if they lose, like you're just rooting for the winning moment. And if you feel like you are part of it, that's, you don't get that in life. You don't get to feel like you're winning every day. But if you're a part of a lot of people who win, you help that person, help that person. Like I'm winning every day because I've helped so many people. So I just love helping people because like, I'm winning every day.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's your superpower. You said your superpower is forgetting.
And so less superpower, what drives and motivates me is my happiness is driven by other people's happiness. So I want other people to succeed. I want them to be happy. I want them to be the best version of themselves. I want them to success. And if they're a good person, I can help in any way, be a part of that. Like that makes me happy. That's it. I have everything I need. Yeah. I'm very happy with it. And so it's really about helping people achieve the thing, and that happiness drives me happy. So COVID was terrible for me, not being around people. Right?
Yeah.
And it turns out my job, which is helping entrepreneurs become the better version of themselves or building the company that they've always imagined, is like perfect for me because my motivation is them succeeding.
I love that. Well, and so then wait, back to your original thing. You said your advice to 35-year-old you would be to let go of wanting.
Let go of wanting a little bit. Yes.
But if you had done that when you were 35, would you still be where you are today? Or do you think it was like the wanting was like an inherent driver
part
for
of it is
you?
I have a terrible memory, so right? And part of it is
So you plead the fifth.
Well, no,
is what
I
you're
also
saying.
believe that we are where we are, where we're supposed to be. We are always where we're supposed to be. So there's no, I don't have regrets of things.
Yeah.
Rethink things. Yeah, I could have, would have, should have, but it's okay. It all is amazing, right? One of these things about spending time with these Buddhist monks, he's like, yeah, I travel all over the world, and I think to myself, come to America and they have depression. He's like, I don't understand what that is. Like, that's all in your head, because everyone else in the world, they're so busy dealing with war and famine and like where to eat. Like you don't have time. We have the luxury of time to be depressed here. And so in the same vein for me, it's like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Like look at us. We're in a 5-star hotel right now. Are you kidding me?
We are?
It's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was wondering, I had nothing when I was like, so knowing and having empathy, and I think traveling helps, like to see poverty, et cetera, but also I grew from nothing, typical American dream type of stuff. It's just to be grateful.
Okay, well then speaking of traveling, okay, you have a travel recommendation. What's your favorite city to travel to when you're taking a break from work?
I rarely visit the same city twice.
Oh, okay.
And my general travel is like 2 days in a city and hop to the next thing. And if you watch National Lampoons, they'll walk up to Mount Rushmore and say, all right, let's go. I'm that person. If I see it, I'm done. I'm out. And
we love an ADHD king.
Yeah, massive ADHD. So I just like consuming a lot. And so I don't think I have a favorite place. Recently, I went to Vietnam. I'm Vietnamese, my first time. I know, but also I'm a giant amongst my people, turns out. Average height, I'm 5'11", and the average height's like 5.
Yeah.
That was amazing. Food, culture. And then US, I love traveling through the Midwest, national parks. I was just in Nebraska last weekend.
Oh, I've never been.
It's beautiful. And also getting away from the coastals. So again, if I invest in culture, build company, if you just pay attention to what happens in LA, California, New York, like you have no idea what's happening in the world. Right?
Yeah.
So traveling to Kansas City or Oklahoma, Nebraska, Idaho, I really enjoy different places.
Well, does it help you then in your work?
100%.
Like you feel like you expand your worldview?
Yeah, it's asking questions, it's being curious, and again, having empathy, like what's really driving their day to day. Do they have time to spend time on this thing? Do they have money to spend time on this thing? Is it important to them? I think you can also spend a lot of time on that on social media. So my other recommendation is outside of travel is your feed and my feed is different.
Yeah.
Reset your feeds. Reset your TikTok and Instagram feeds. Start over. Search for things that you don't normally search for. And the algorithm will start feeding you content that you've never seen. And it really gives you a better understanding of like everyone else.
Yeah. So are you also chronically online?
Of course. 24/7. Yeah. Again, if I don't participate in culture, I can't invest in culture.
Yeah.
That's my kind of thesis.
What's your social media platform of choice?
Different things for different things. So like, I think X for real-time information, Instagram for a specific demographic for like music culture, and then TikTok is kind of everything.
Yeah.
Right. So people think TikTok is just for a small demographic. Everyone uses TikTok. If you want to be into home repair, you can have hours upon hours of content of like home repair, interior design, or making clothes, or jewelry, or girls dancing, or music. It doesn't matter. And so I think it's about spending time there.
Yeah.
Reading comments.
Oh yeah.
And then YouTube, of course. YouTube is television. TikTok is television. And then
we're simpatico. We're in the same. I feel like there's like a group of people that are like, YouTube is television. Like creators 100%. Are the new brands. Like,
and then Reddit. Reddit is the best place of like deep OCD information. And I have OCD. And then I was telling a bunch of investors today, like, how do you invest in this culture? Our brands, it's actually not that hard. A brand is if you jumped on their social on TikTok or Instagram and you read the comment section. Does the people treat them like customer service or their friend?
Oh.
And it's there, and you can read it. And one's like customer service, and they're just complaining about like whatever. It's like literally it's customer service. The other is like a brand where it's like your friend, and then if someone digs them, they defend you, and they're like, oh no, you're wrong. You don't. And that's the brand.
What's a good example? What's
Liquid Death. Look, if you jump on Liquid Death on our TikTok or Instagram and look at any comments, they treat us like their friend. Right? They talk to us. It's like they laugh with us. They crack jokes with us. And if someone comes in and kind of like makes fun of us, they defend us, right? And then
and that's by design.
It's by design.
Built that up. Like it doesn't just happen.
American Airlines. It's just customer service.
Yeah.
So it's
like, give me 25,000 miles.
It's just a lot of complaining. It's just like, get back to me, DM me. So customer support versus like a friend is a way you would, as an investor, look at is a durable brand, because relationships last longer than customer support.
And so what's the key to that? How do you build that up?
It's as easy as it is everything. Like the word authenticity is thrown around, but I think fundamentally, I always say, Dollar Shave Club was one of the first brands we helped build. Consumers are smarter than you think. They know they're being marketed to. Right? So if you look at Liquid Death, like we treat the audience like they're in on it. Like we know that they know that we're marketing to them, and don't take that serious, but also pick a position and own it and stand your ground. Don't waver. And just be okay with that, because at the end of the day, as we all know, someone's going to hate you. And if you flinch on that reaction, like you'll get destroyed.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's something we've learned through posting all the time.
There will be, I call it 2 to 4% of the population just loves to hate things.
Well, what I say to Cherie is I'm like, the haters actually love you the most.
Oh, of course.
Because they're follow you.
Yeah, they're obsessed with you.
And they write the hater comment because you're 99% more likely, you're 100 times more likely to respond to the hate comment.
And you're fueling them by reacting, right? They're instigators. And so remember in high school, like you had human nature doesn't change.
Yeah.
Like you remember in high school, you had the instigators. Yeah. Those people are now online and they can just do it at scale. They will always exist. But if you ignore them, you ignore bullies, eventually they just bully somebody else.
Yeah.
So, life lessons.
Yeah.
Human nature doesn't change. That's why I love culture. Like the humans, we're like Maslow's hierarchy. Like it's everyone's pretty much selfish. Virtue signaling is a thing, right? You just know it, and know that if you just admit that you know that I know that you know that we're selfish people, right? We'll be okay. But if you pretend that that's not the way it is,
I feel like you're kind of like the culture personified. What do you think about that?
Again, it goes back to not wanting is also in the same sense of like, I have my opinions on things. I'm willing to change my mind and be okay with it and update, but I believe what I believe, right? And pop culture is changed significantly, right? I think we live what's in a post-truth world. There's no such thing as truth anymore. There is literally no such thing as truth. Whatever you believe is what you believe. I can't change the otherwise. And there's multiple versions of the truth. And it's all about perspective. And it's really fascinating about like how you get information down. There's so many channels to get the information that you actually want. And the reason I say pop culture in a lot of ways, that I actually don't think there's ever going to be a Madonna, Michael Jackson, Dre, like music anymore, because your algorithm and my algorithm are different. Her algorithm's different.
Yeah.
We're listening. And so does anybody know what the number one song is this week? No.
I literally, 2 days ago, I played Diet Pepsi for someone, and the Addison Rae song, and he had never heard it before. And then I was like, and then I played Bedchem, and he was like, I've never heard this song before. I was like, huh? I was like, who are you? Like, do we just have like
different algorithms?
Zero overlapping?
There was 2,000, I believe it was like 2,000 songs last year.
Our age.
It's algorithm. And I don't think about how, it's funny, think about how many artists you listen to today than you used to.
Yeah.
Think back 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
You listen to like 10, 15 artists. Now it's like 100 more, and it's maybe 1 or 2 songs. Full albums, nobody really listens to full albums anymore. There's a couple, right? Yeah. But again, if you look at who they are, it's the big artists that were kind of pre-breakout of Spotify. So, Taylor dropped 9 albums before Spotify, right? So like That's why. But there won't be another Taylor Swift.
So I'm just saying, okay, I think we have time for one more question.
Okay, what are you most looking forward to for conference, or like what is the most valuable part of conference 2024?
So I've probably attended more conferences than probably anybody in Silicon Valley in tech.
What bold claim.
Oh, trust me. I'm talking like Mike Arrington, TechCrunch, in his apartment when he launched TechCrunch.
Oh, wow.
Every conference, Wall Street Journal, All Things D, Fortune, like literally, Goldman Sachs, Internet Conference. And it's really interesting, like the timing of conference, which started last year and this year, it's a next generation of conferences. It's always been about the people. It's always about like, the late night conversations, the conversations at the bar, we're in this room till 1 a.m. in the morning. It's like building these relationships. And what's interesting in Dallas, it's a little bit away from the noise. It's purposeful. People flew out here. You're going to stuck here, so you're going to spend time with them.
Yeah.
And I like the different perspectives of 3-star admiral to, head of Snapchat, we have him speaking right now, or head of Discord and AI. It's real, I think, real conversations. And so like anything over the 20 years I've been attending quote unquote tech conferences, it's about the people. So being my second year, it's nice to like have that familiar face of someone I met last year. Maybe I spent 2 minutes saying hi, but like we talked maybe 15, 20 minutes this time. And now I get to know them. And by next year, like it's cool. And and I think fundamentally this goes back to being happy and wanting to help people. The key to all conferences, if you do consistency, it's a great group, you fundamentally just want to help them because that means you're going to work together, which means this doesn't feel like work anymore because I actually like hanging out with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
like building things with your friends is the best feeling ever. It's the best feeling ever.
And I think what's great is like I met Imran when he first joined Snapchat. So Evan Spiegel asked me
17, 16.
Yeah. When he came to town, Evan showed me an email saying, hey, show him around town. And it's like, well, it's just relationships, 10 years in, 15 years in. I mean, I would say downstairs, there's 20 people that I've known for 15 years, right? Wow. And a lot of new people that I'm like, I could totally see doing business with them or not, or just hanging out and learning, right? I'm learned about fascinating business earlier today about he's the largest med spa owner in America.
Oh, wow.
Like, I love learning about this.
Good.
Like, to me, that's the other thing. I'm learning about these businesses. It's like, okay. So now how could I think about what's happening in his industry? Maybe there's a company we can build and invest in. I met a woman who runs all the NIL athletes. Ooh, super. Wow. I learned a ton, and I walked away like, I think I can build a business around what's happening in the industry. So for me, it's learning things that nobody else is talking about, but there's real big, huge industries that Silicon Valley generally kind of ignores. But I think with AI, everything's changing. You can build businesses around.
I love it. That's perfect ending.
Wow, I think that was one of the most candid conversations.
Super engaging. Yeah.
Yeah, Peter really just put it all out there, which I love.
It was like kind of spicy at times, really good advice. I really enjoyed that conversation.
It's definitely spicy, and we'll get to the takeaways right after this.
Hey everyone, quick break to share something special. Sisters Matcha. We've launched limited batches of ceremonial grade, single estate, single cultivar matcha, straight from the family farm Cherie worked on in Japan. It's pure, authentic, and crafted with intention. Head to sistersmatcha.com to grab yours before it sells out. Make matcha your daily ritual for lasting energy and focus.
And I think it was also such a good conversation because he really made me feel comfortable. So then I was able to more like be myself, and then it was just like a very free-flowing conversation.
Yeah. And I also think it's really best when a lot of the interviewees go into their personal backgrounds as like a way to set up the conversation, because you can better understand like the context, how they grew up, how they think, and what informs that. So I thought it was really powerful when Peter shared that like he basically grew up with like very little means in like a refugee situation.
I wrote down what he said. He literally said, I was born in a refugee camp and grew up in what I considered the ghetto. 7 of us in a 1-bedroom apartment. He also said, I rolled with a lot of gangbangers. I don't know if you caught that part.
I did, but I also didn't. I don't even really know what that means, to be honest.
Like he was doing illegal, nefarious things.
What is a gangbanger versus a gang?
Oh, it's just like a way to say like gang members
Oh, I see.
who are like doing bad things. But he said at the ages of 10 to 11, I was committing a lot of crimes. So he was a literal rule breaker.
He was a rule breaker. We're like, were you a rule breaker as a child? He's like, let me tell you,
Yeah.
committing some crimes.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it also goes to show like his background, how he grew up, and how it informs who he is now and like how he sees the world. It's really powerful.
Exactly. Like, not to psychoanalyze our new friend Peter Pham, but I do think that knowing his background, it makes so much sense why he is the way he is today. And like one of the things that really stood out to me is that, okay, one, he said his self-proclaimed superpower, which I think is just one of his many superpowers, is he said, I have a terrible memory, which means that if something bad happens to me, I don't remember it. And I figure I'm not going to remember it anyway. And so I'm just going to forget it.
Yeah, memory of a goldfish. It serves people well. I mean, it seems like there's a bit of a trend in the conversations we've had in season 3 with our guests where like a lot of them are just like have a short memory, or if you don't have one already, develop one. Just like forget easily so then you can move on and keep iterating.
Yeah. I think for Peter, it also goes along with his kind of like Zen personality, which maybe is derived from his Buddhist background, which he also referenced.
I do see Peter as being like one of our more spiritual guests. And like, I hate using that word. I feel like it's like overused, but like he talks about like meeting up with Buddhist monks, literally. And also like what's for me will find me, like kind of that mentality of like life is for living.
Well, his advice for like, who was it that I interviewed him, right? Oh yeah. His advice for his like 35-year-old self or to other 35-year-olds was remove wanting in your life. Like if that's not like a Zen Buddhist saying,
that's
like,
so,
I don't know what is. Wait, and then I don't know if you caught this. He literally said, I have everything I need.
I know. I heard that.
Do you remember that?
I was like, bro, that's literally the mantra of our matcha brand.
That's literally the Sisters Matcha mantra.
Yeah.
Printed on top of our can. And the meaning, like the idea behind that is that you say that mantra to yourself every single day
while you're making the matcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, ours was not derived from like a Buddhist saying, but I do understand like where he's coming from, where he's just like.
It's also not derived from Peter Pham.
It's not derived from, and he was not a plant. We didn't ask him to say that.
No.
But like happiness is not wanting anything or expecting anything. I think that's powerful.
Well, that's like really evolved.
I mean, it also reminds me of Vu Tran's episode where he's just like, when you come from nothing. Vu Tran's episode, which will be up here, hopefully, if I can figure out how to edit that in. If you come from nothing, like you also want for nothing in a way. He didn't exactly say that, but that was my interpretation.
He was like, if you come from nothing, then you're unafraid.
You're unafraid, but then you also like want for nothing too, where it's just like, it can't get that bad, you know? Like you've already seen how bad it can be.
Yeah, like you could take bigger risks because he's like, I knew what it was like to be at zero and to have nothing. So I'm not afraid of that.
That also goes into like one of my takeaways is that like Peter in this episode, he's like, if you love what you do and you can do that every day, it's okay to give up a little. Like, and what he meant by that is that like, he literally said you can move back in with your family, obviously, if you have that privilege to do so. But like some people, especially like some of my peers and friends, like when I talk to them and they like want to take risks and like do what they love and like leave their corporate 9-to-5, but they're like so afraid. But like I don't think they've actually gone through the analysis of like what's the worst that can happen. Like you can move in with your family to like save money, but like people won't even go there because they won't even consider that. So then they don't make the move to like leave their corporate 9-to-5.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Like he was one of the things he said. He was like, if you really want to do something, you should give up. You should feel comfortable giving up certain things.
Yes.
In order to achieve your goals.
That means like living within your means, below your means. It like requires sacrifice.
Yeah. I do think that like more clearly and more directly than most of the other interviewers, it was very clear that he lives by his philosophies. Like everything that he said to us that was like either advice or like sort of his mantras, I was like, oh, I see very clearly that you're like living this yourself. You're not just like giving us advice that you're not doing every single day.
Yeah.
Like, for example, he was like, my happiness is derived from making other people happy and like empowering other people to be their best and to like build and contribute to the world.
Yeah.
He was like, that's why
He does what he does.
yeah, that's why I'm a venture capitalist. That's why I started this incubator to help people build their companies.
Totally.
And I'm sure that like, you know, he had to give up certain things to get to where he is today.
Something that Peter said that really stuck with me is that you don't have to be the smartest at what you do, but you just have to be like the hardest working. I don't know, quite remember the phrasing, but it was related to like the previous point where he's like, if you love what you do, you're going to be thinking about it 24/7.
Yeah.
And that's even more powerful than like, you know, thinking about it from 9 to 5.
Yeah.
So like you don't have to be the smartest, but like you will be the hardest working just by putting more hours.
Exactly.
into
Yeah.
it.
So it wasn't necessarily like be the hardest working. It was be the one that like cares about this the most.
Yeah.
Choose to do something that you love. And then the result of that is that you will naturally spend more time on that topic, even when you're not technically working. Like you're going to be thinking about it all the time.
Yeah.
Because it's the thing that you care about the most. So like it's like the natural second, third order effects of it is that you will be better than people who are treating it just as
A regular job. Yeah. If you treat it as like a passion of yours. I mean, I do think that's like, if you love something, you will work. My interpretation is like you will work harder at it than anyone else. And
What if you love money?
what do you mean?
Like, what if you love money?
Like making money?
Yeah.
Then you will be working at it and thinking about it. I think that's actually, that can be a lot of people's motivations. And I don't think that's technically like a wrong thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on where it comes from and perhaps seek therapy. But like if you love money and that's your main motivator for whatever reason, like you will figure out ways to make money and you'll be thinking about it 24/7.
Yeah. It actually, I don't know why it randomly reminds me of this, but like one anecdote I remember reading at some point is that from a very young age, Kim Kardashian had always said, I want to be famous. She's like, I'm going to be famous. Like, I think there are like home video clips of her saying that when she was like 16 or 15, 17 years old. And like, that was her driving motivator. And now like, she is the embodiment of fame. She's like infamous for being famous.
Right.
So it's kind of interesting. Like that was her North Star.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was what she did, everything in her life to like achieve that. And now she's like the best at being famous.
That's true. That's interesting. Yeah. She like you have define your North Star, and if you can think about it 24/7 because you like thinking about it and enjoy it, you're all the more powerful.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting if you like then try to like analyze all the things that she's been doing like with that North Star in mind, like her, you know, getting involved in politics, like starting that PE/investment fund. Like I feel like those are all things that would help her become more famous.
Yeah, interesting. And also like increase her total addressable market of like where her name and her brand is
You're
like
so
considered
right.
in the
You're so
rooms.
right.
Yeah. That woman should not be underestimated by anyone.
I'm so impressed by her.
Yeah.
I'm truly impressed by her.
I wonder if Peter Pham would be impressed by her.
I think so.
I won't speak for him, but
I mean, I think so because Peter, I feel like his like brand is that he is the culture.
Yeah, you've actually said that at one point. You're like, you are the culture. And the way that I heard it was like capital T, capital C, the culture. And I honestly,
the culture personified is maybe what I said, or that's what I think right now.
No, that's what he is, because like he mentions, he's like, yeah, this is what Reddit is for, Twitter/X, TikTok, YouTube. He like mentions all those social media platforms and how they're used. And I'm really impressed that he just like gets it.
He's so fluent. He's so culturally fluent.
Yes, he really understands.
Which is kind of funny because I don't think people talk about being culturally fluent and like being able to speak the language of all different generations. Because he's probably, what, in his 40s?
He didn't
I think?
say.
I know, he wouldn't say his age.
You asked him how old he was, and his response was Asian don't raisin.
I was like, that's true.
That's true.
So you're 60? Like, you're 65? Like, unknown.
Yeah.
But, like, I feel like he's the type of person that could speak to a 10-year-old just as easily he could speak with, like, a 70-year-old.
Skibbity toilet riz. Alpha. Beta. I don't know what else.
Medicare. Sorry.
Yeah, I see that as well. Like, he's able to transcend generations, and I think that's really cool because I hope to be like that. I aspire to be like that. But I wonder how it can be advantageous in the professional world. And I'm sure that it is, but I kind of want to like analyze this a little bit more.
Yeah.
And like, is it viewed as advantageous, like broadly in the professional world, or is it looked down upon in some ways?
Well,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it depends on what you do. I think for him, he's a startup incubator. He's a, venture investor. He incubated Liquid Death. Like, Liquid Death is the culture. They like created this culture around hardcore water.
Yeah.
Like, that did not exist. Like, imagine saying to yourself 10 years ago, yeah, my favorite drink brand is this really hardcore water, canned water.
Also, imagine.
Sounds ridiculous.
Imagine explaining that to a 70-year-old.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's giving like, why are you paying more money for jeans with holes in them?
Wait, okay, I have to say this. So one of the infamous classes at HBS is a like marketing class that's taught by this really famous marketing professor and guru named Young Moon.
Love her.
Oh yeah,
I sat in her class, and she has her podcast. Well, it's not her podcast, but she's a podcast host.
Yes. So you do know, Cherie came with me to class one day. But one of the exercises that she made us, or one of the assignments that she made us do as students in her class, was to create a branded water. So like everyone had to come in with their own idea of like, if you were to create a water brand today, what would it be? And like, why? Because like water is technically like a commodity.
Right.
Like, so what differentiates one brand of water from another? Now I'm trying to think, was this before or after Liquid Death was created? It was definitely before it became super popular.
Yeah. But it's so interesting how there's like room in the market for like 30 plus. I mean, I'm sure there's many more like types of water, but it's like water.
Yeah. Back to your question.
Yeah.
Like Peter and like people like him who really deeply understand people and culture and their wants and their beliefs, like that's how you create something like out of nothing.
Yeah.
That's how you like redefine something.
Yeah.
For a new generation.
How you redefine culture too, how you shape culture. I really like that he said, he's just like, yeah, I invest in culture. Like, of course I have to like be a part of the culture. And he also said, he's just like, when you look at Liquid Death and you look into their comment section, do people treat the company like customer service or like a friend? And I was like, wow. I was just like, I know that there's things going on in the comment section. How do you know that comment section is like what makes He
lives in the comment section.
Content. Yeah. I thought that was really impressive. I was just like, I know that. Like, how do you know that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The comment section, is it like kind of unspoken, or maybe now people are talking about it, but like it's kind of unspoken. Like everyone like runs to the comment section.
Yes. I haven't heard people speak about it in a more like professional, like marketing, like branding
moment.
Yeah, like in that sort of
academic way.
Yeah. In maybe like 2 years or even less, there's going to be like a playbook that comes out that's like how to optimize your marketing, like comment-led marketing.
Right?
It's going to be something like that.
Yes. And you know what? Like Duolingo is like the famous case study, at least in like the content that I consume and like the circles that I run in. Everyone like goes to Duolingo and they're like, the person who did it, who's the social media marketing manager, has done it so well. Duo has this entire personality, so many like brands want to partner with her and the company. Although I've been seeing it on the counterpoint, it's like a balance, because I've seen like now all these airline companies have a voice of their own, you know, on X or Threads, like Delta, like Ryanair, Spirit Airlines. They kind of like clap back at each other, and like United. But I'm like, this is kind of weird. Like I could see Duolingo being personified, but I didn't need Ryanair and or Spirit Airlines or Frontier to be personified on X. Do you know what I mean?
This sounds like you're a little bit biased against these
But Delta.
budget airlines.
But Delta.
Someone sounds a little bit questionable. Well, in the airlines that you mentioned. No, I get what you mean.
It's tipped too far. And like, okay, the other day, for example.
Or it doesn't feel authentic. It's like going back to what he said.
It doesn't feel authentic. Wendy's. Does Wendy's need a persona on X? Like, what is the persona of Wendy's and or Quaker Oats? Like, I recently rethreaded something that Quaker Oats wrote, so I'm guilty. I'm like literally being a hypocrite right now. But I'm like, do we need Quaker Oats to be like on Threads and on X?
I mean, they're trying.
I know. I guess we can't fault them for trying, but I'm just like, I think the scale is kind of tipped the other way. I'm like a little bit annoyed now. I'm like, what are you guys doing here?
I guess they're not. I think the difference is that they're not a like comment native brand. Whereas like Liquid Death, for example, it feels like they were like born in the comments, you know? But like bringing it back to like exactly what he said, I just want to say like, I just want to re-emphasize the like really like banger sentence he said.
Yeah.
So one was he said, relationships last longer than customer service. That's like the power of the comments, right?
Yes.
In the comment section, that's where you like build the relationship. You have the conversations that are not they're not like goal oriented. They're not meant to like achieve a goal, and they're not transactional. You're just kind of like shooting the shit. You're building a relationship.
Yeah,
with the
it's
customers.
connection building.
Yeah, even people who are not actually leaving comments, they're reading the comments.
Yeah, that's why
so
it's
they
important.
feel like they're part of that conversation with the brand.
Yes.
So that feels very organic. And then the other thing he said was customers are smarter than you think.
Yes.
He was like, at Liquid Death, we treat the audience like they're in on it.
Yes, I love this part.
It's so good.
Because you know what he says after that? He goes, I know that they know that we know that they know.
Yeah, that we're selling to them. Like,
Yes,
everyone knows we're marketing, but how do we make it fun? Like, how do we make it something that everyone wants to participate in, as opposed to being like just the object of the marketing?
Yes.
Or like the subject of the marketing.
People want to be in on it. And okay, sorry, to go back to Ryanair and Spirit Frontier, you know what it is? What pisses me off is that if they were actually in on it and we were in on it, they would own how shitty they are. Like they would
make jokes about how like right.
Yes.
They would repost all those things of people, sorry to interrupt, like of people like wearing a million clothes.
Yes. They would be in on it, be like, yeah, we do charge you like, you know, $45 a seat, and bringing a bag, a checked bag will cost twice as much that. Yes, we realize how ridiculous that is.
Right. Like,
and
that
we're going
would
to
be
keep
their
doing
theme.
it.
That would be their theme, and they would like harp on it themselves, and
they
like
would be in
make
on
that their
it.
personality.
They would understand how messed up it is, or like the trade-off, but they're like, but we're giving you the cheapest seat available, so wear all your clothes on your body. Like,
that's pretty good.
that's why it bothers me, because like they're missing the next layer of like, they know that we know that they know that we know,
Right.
Like they're only halfway there.
Yeah. It's like Peter said, take a stance,
Yeah.
take a position, say the unsaid thing that everybody already knows.
Or is already thinking. Like everyone, like I took Spirit or Frontier, like one of these budget airlines, to go to Vegas with like my friends at GSB. But like we did it because we knew it would be cheap.
The only time she'll do it is when she flies with 400 other people.
Listen,
Fair.
Listen.
She didn't have any bags.
I know.
She hadn't had a single bag.
No,
she
of
didn't
course
even stay over.
I didn't have a bag. And
Perfect use case, actually.
yeah.
They should do like videos about that.
Yeah.
Right?
It's just like, I don't want brands to pretend that they're something that they're not. Like just say what everyone else is thinking, and I think that'll get you much further than like Quaker Oats being like, I don't know what are you doing here?
But does Quaker Oats need to take on like a snarky persona?
No, please don't. Like, they're already being snarky. I'm annoyed. I was just like, stop being snarky.
Okay, but if they're not snarky or like funny, then why do people want to like engage with them in the comments? Like, what are they going to do? Just post like really wholesome like puppy videos?
I don't know. I think they could start like just start from first principles and be like, why do people even go to Quaker Oats? Like, oh, it's a recipe. It's like healthy. Do like recipe videos, show how people can engage in your product in fun and creative ways. Like, that is the content I'd want to see.
Okay.
Is like, I want to be inspired by it. I don't need them to like.
Yeah. So like maybe if they were to do this like comment marketing, you know, campaign, they would then have like really positive, encouraging comments and be like, I don't know, for
people's
someone
recipes or like repost people's recipes.
Yeah. Something. Like whatever, I don't know. Like whenever there's something like positive happening, they chime in and be like, oh, like this is like so amazing. This made my day, or I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to think a little bit
But they
more.
don't have to be snarky, like the same way that Duolingo is.
I think everyone's trying to be snarky these days, and I'm like, it doesn't work.
They're trying to like to literally execute the Duolingo like strategy versus taking that strategy and making it work for their brand.
Exactly. Because Duolingo is like in a fun way, and I think they've done it brilliantly. So this is not a ding on them or anything, but they're like snarky. They're like chaotic. They say the craziest things. They'll like, you know, retweet with like Dua Lipa, and like they have this new like this ongoing like segment of like how Duolingo is like in love with Dua Lipa. Like it's like very about the cultural times, and that works for them, especially because their social media manager is like Gen Z and like gets it. But like not everyone needs to do that.
Yeah, it's giving Ariana, what are you doing here?
It's quite tired.
I still like that meme.
No. I mean, the people are doing the Duolingo thing. It's getting, for me, quite tired.
Yeah.
The final takeaway I had with this conversation with Peter is that he took the analogy of sports teams and why people are so bought into their sports teams that they love, even though like if their sport team's not doing well, when they get a win, they really feel like they're a part of the entire process. And so I don't exactly remember the quote that he said, but like people love supporting, you know, other ambitious, hungry, passionate people because they feel like they're a part of your success. Or if they can feel like they're a part of your success, they want to like root for you, because people don't get to feel like they're winning every day. So they can live vicariously through your wins. And I was like, I had never thought about it that way, but like the psychology of it makes so much sense.
Totally. It's like if I contributed 5%, 10%, or even like 1% to a person's win, then like you get to feel a part of it. And so then you get to feel like a little bit of joy and satisfaction and like positivity every day through what everyone else is doing. Yeah. As opposed to just to yourself. Yeah. I mean, I think that's the idea that like of leverage, right?
Say more.
I think like a piece of feedback that a lot of like middle managers get as they're moving into higher management roles is like the number one, or this is at least one of the pieces of feedback that I got, is like the number one thing you need to focus on is increasing your leverage. So like if you're doing something or you're saying something, instead of you just like having a direct effect on something, it should be like kicking off like 10 different work streams, and like it'll have an effect on 10 people who then have an effect on 50 other people that ends up affecting like thousands and millions of people. I mean, it's not exaggerated actually when you work on a social media app. Sure. You know, hundreds of millions of people use, but it's kind of like a version of that. That's what it reminded me of.
Interesting. That's such a interesting association. My brain did not go there at all, but I see that.
Or like that's a way that you can
scale yourself.
Yeah, it's a way that you can sort of apply what Peter is saying, even if you don't work as a VC yourself and you're not an investor. and you work in a corporate job, right? It's like increasing your leverage. Like, how can you have more direct influence and more indirect influence at the same time?
When Peter talked about that, it reminded me of our matcha brand, Sisters Matcha. And one, it's like super like grassrootsy in like how Jean and I are like in there in the comments and talking to people, responding to everything, but also in that like people want to feel like they're a part of something. Something that we started doing was writing the people, our customers' names on our wall in our home office, just like every single person's name who's bought a Sisters Matcha. And it's like in a lot of our videos, their names are there, they're present, like they're a part of the story.
You're
like,
you live with us.
You live in our home.
Yeah. You're with us every day.
Exactly. So I actually hadn't connected those two, but I'm like, oh, that's why. Like, I did it, you know, we wanted to do it for a reason, but like this is the like very concrete reason, is that people want to feel like they're a part of something. And when they can see their name, they're like, oh, I'm contributing and I'm part of this story, the history of it all.
Yeah. And like, I think also they're connecting not just to like our story of being sister co-founders, but also the fact that our matcha is sourced from this family farm, like a really small family farm in Wazuka, Japan. And we like talk about that family farm too, and like how, you know, we're really close to them, and like how we are like basically plugged into every single part of the production and creation and everything. I think that's also part of it, right? Like, I don't feel like we're just doing it for ourselves. I feel like we kind of have a higher purpose in doing this company, right? Aside from the fact that it is like the best, healthiest, most amazing matcha that you can buy pretty much. And I'm like very proud of and stand behind the product. Like, it's more than just a product.
Yeah. Which is, I think, interesting. Going back to the differentiation of water, like this is the differentiation of matcha.
Yeah.
Like part of what makes our matcha special is like, obviously it tastes good, the health benefits, and it's like, I mean,
it's ultra premium. It's like the top of the top, like all that stuff.
Yes. But then in addition to that, like there is this story of this family farm that we are connected with and we're sourcing from, that like other matcha companies on a much larger scale, like much bigger than us, they don't have the same ties to that. And if they're doing some like larger scale farming, like it's definitely not the same. It's so different.
Yeah. There's a heritage to it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's like the same reason why, you know, you can have one handmade leather bag that's made in France that's maybe like $150, and then you can have a handmade Hermes bag which is $6,000 or, you know, $150,000. Like, it's the heritage behind the story of that house that is so well known. They've done such a good job of telling the story of that maison over time. Yeah, that is their competitive advantage. That's why they're the like 800-pound gorilla in, you know, luxury handmade leather goods.
Yeah. Honestly, I think we should do a better job. We could do a better job of telling the story behind it. I mean, the thing is, like, I don't know how much people care about it. I care so deeply about it, but I don't know. It's interesting.
Let us know.
Do you care?
Yeah. Like, does it make a difference for you in the consumables that you purchase when you know the story behind it, and when you know like literally the people who are doing the sourcing, the people who are doing the vetting and everything? Like, you can see their faces and hear from them and like see the process too.
Yeah. I wonder so when I used to work at LinkedIn, something we would call like the aha moment is like, when do people start like realizing that LinkedIn Learning is like, is a product that works for them? What is the aha moment? Did you ever call it that? Especially during like onboarding, since I worked on onboarding in my first few years, it's like, what is the first experience that a user goes through?
Or I guess it's like, is another way to put it, like, what is the day or the moment that they end up retaining? Like, they become like a lifelong customer.
That they end up like getting it. And like the whole point is that like for retention and growth, you're supposed to shorten the time to getting to the aha moment for users. And so something that I've seen and I've actually felt myself is that like when Dean and I, travel, we go on vacations, we do a lot of Airbnb experiences. And like the aha moment for me, and I've seen for other people, is like when they get to experience something themselves. So like when I was working on the matcha farm, we used to have like guests come in and go on a tea farm tour. And like, I mean, it's the second that they're on the farm, they hear from our manufacturer, like our source, Daiki-san, the head farmer. They hear about his story, they see the farm, they taste it, they understand how much craft and care goes into like every single friggin' cup. Like that's an aha moment. And I would say the bar is quite high to get there. Like you got to go to Japan. If you're, outside of Japan, you got to travel there. You got to go to the countryside. You got to go on this tea farm tour. You have to allocate a lot of time to it. Is there a way to get users and customers to the aha moment without actually having to do that?
Yeah. How do you translate that for the masses? Can you? I mean, we've done it a little bit of like the content that we create on the farm and like telling the story of the farm. But how can you do it in a more like visceral manner?
We need to make a documentary. We need to go back to the farm. This is where we go back to the farm.
Yeah.
Make a documentary.
Well, we are going to go back to the farm for harvest season.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, like guys, we walk the walk. We're not just like talking the talk.
Yeah, we're going back in May 2025. If you'd like to join us, we have a group trip with you guys. We have 15 spots total, and I think around we have like 3 spots left. So if you'd like to come with us to Japan in May of 2025, travel with us. We are going to Tokyo, Mount Fuji, which we've both never been to before. We're visiting a tea farm in Shizuoka, a different part of Japan that we've also never been to before.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see a different tea farm.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in that.
Yeah.
Because they have different farming methods.
Yes, I was just about to say that. It's a different landscape.
Yeah.
Completely in Shizuoka. It's not as mountainous as Kyoto.
Right. So they can use tractors versus our matcha comes from an area where it's too like hilly to actually use tractors. So that's why everything is done in very small batches and by hand.
Yeah. We will have a link in our description if you guys would like to join us for that trip, and we would love to have you. Yes.
Anyway, so Peter Pham. I mean, it was a great conversation because it
relates to our lives in so many different ways.
Yeah, it just made us think so much.
Yeah.
Like it led us to have these like really deep conversations, even though he's not here, but like off of the back of his like quotes.
He's good. That man, he's good.
I know. Maybe we should get him back.
We should. I feel like he would have so much more to say.
Yeah.
This was like only like a 20-minute interview. We should do a longer one with him.
Yeah, guys, let us know if you'd be interested in a part 2 with Peter.
Yes.
And then maybe we can convince him to come back onto the pod.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode of the Tiger Sisters. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're listening to this episode on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please give us a 5-star review. It only takes a few seconds and it means the world to us. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.